Hello, it is Friday, May 12th, 2023 at 5:21 p.m. Eastern Time, USA, 1721. This is my video journal. I'm Mitch Miller. I said I'd come back on next week. I will have some time in the evenings when Hillary's at Pilates if I think of anything I want to talk about. But I just wanted to update on a couple Reddit posts I saw in the past week and one today. And also I just want to update on my basement computer that's connected to my landline Magic Jack. The USB copy of this video journal that I keep on there, I think it incurred a virus of some sort, so I'm not going to put it in any of my other devices. It'll just stay in that computer. When I tried to copy new videos, the past two new videos, not including this one, the video 3 videos ago, 145, video 145, froze up when I was copying it. It froze the whole computer. I had to shut down the computer, which didn't eject the USB correctly. I fired it back up, tried to copy it again, and it froze up again. So I take it as a sign that the government, the military, whoever, powers that be, the Indian government that is now making contact with my house, doesn't want any new videos on that downstairs basement computer. So that's where we're at. I do have other USB copies with the full up to this current video. I'm sorry, that was video 146, or no, 145, yeah. So that's where we're at with that. Just take it as a sign that, and it is a good stopping point. I mean, the last two videos on that USB are basically the battle of the sexes, right? Men are causing breast cancer, and women have been for 100 years because of underwire bras. And hypothetically, women CEOs, even though it's probably still men, are turning men into women using plastics and petrochemicals, and basically men are more addicted to the oil and gasoline than women. They've always been muscle car heads and addicted to oil and internal combustion, but I'm sure it'll get blamed on a secret conspiracy by women to turn men into women, I guess. Interesting place to stop. Anyhow, the Reddit post I saw one a week or so ago that the government of the Philippines had busted basically technology sweatshops where immigrants in the Philippines had their passports taken away and basically became slaves to man computers and run scams on a lot of U.S. citizens. I've had this theory for a long time. It just justifies it. That's why when I'm contacted on Facebook and social media, I entertain the conversation for as long as possible, and then I try to direct them to one of my websites in case they're trapped, being forced to scam people. Because why would people want to scam? You know, I mean, I know there's animosity between nations because of the media systems, but do you really hate Americans to the point where you want to scam them? I mean, I don't know. Some countries do, but in my opinion, a lot of people, to drive someone to scam someone, I feel like in more cases than not, they're being forced by a greedy person that built a center to have employees or slaves reach out through social media and scam people. Just like any criminal organization. So, great job, Philippines, for busting some of those sites. and restoring the immigrants, the migrants, and hopefully sorting that out. I'm sure they exist all over the world, India included. I know India included. I received a call today where they just left the line on and they were talking about a online tutor program scam. So they're trying to scam me to build my website for Boudica.us. My theory is because I have a .us suffix, it is exposing all kinds of scams all over the world that use the initials of the country of origin or supposedly of origin of the website, like AU, CA for Canada, Australia, so on and so forth. So they never bombarded my landline until I bought this domain name. Anyhow, second thing on Reddit has to do with Operation Oligarch. It was an article about a Russian billionaire whose yacht had been not seized, but kind of seized by the UK government. I forget the name of the administrator of the Department of Transportation. He posted a video, so we're not going to let these ships come and go from the UK. That billionaire is suing the UK for his ship back and damages. And supposedly that Russian billionaire does not have sanctions on him. But the article went on to say the original owner of the ship, or the current owner of the ship that is just letting that billionaire use the ship, was a wireless mogul out of the mountain region of Russia. He has a wireless mobile company. So he might have sanctions on him, and it'd be tough to investigate these things, I'm sure. But we have basically two Russian billionaires connected to a ship. Now, so we have Operation Oligarch, where I proposed I come onto a ship, potentially with my wife. We establish that it's a neutral vessel. I plug this video journal into the television in whatever quarters I'm in, whatever quarters I sleep in. This artificial intelligence, the supercomputers, can hack into the electronics on that ship and track it and locate it at sea level to collaborate, to coordinate their troop movements, their robot movements, their aircraft movements, so on and so forth. It's establishing a neutral vessel formerly classified by the Russians as a military vessel. That's my theory, that these oligarchs' vessels would be classified as military on their NORAD-style computer system to protect them in certain ways. And now it would be under either my ownership or, like in this case, the UK military's ownership. So it was a former Russian military vessel, now it's a UK functioning vessel temporarily with a neutral anarchist atheist that studied the media on board. Trying to have forums about this next phase of warfare where we have robots and artificial intelligence involved. And potentially starting the Periscope platform in the Ukraine and other anti-corruption platforms in the Ukraine. But we're starting it from a ship that was seized and made neutral. So we have this program, Operation Oligarch. From what I read in the article, there's at least a dozen seized Russian oligarchs' yachts. So if we spend 3 months on each yacht, that gives us 3 years to bring total peace to the entire world, right? Hopefully we can get peace in the Ukraine very quickly, and then work on all the other conflicts around the world and installing these corruption platforms and then handing them over to people within that country to operate them accordingly and check in with us. So every 3 months, my group of computer scientists that are helping with the technology projects, we go to a different Russian oligarch ship, and there's a new crew that runs the ship each time, and it's a EU military that allows women on frontline battle, right? So if we want neutrality, we want men and women on the crew and in the computer science realm. Each new ship has a crew of military, hypothetically military or former military personnel, naval personnel that help coordinate the ship and run the ship. So every 3 months, a Russian oligarch gets his ship back, right? We could investigate into things, or we could just say the past is the past. Moving forward, we need assurances, agreements, and contracts as to how you will conduct yourself if we give you this ship back. So in the case of the UK ship, the Phi, we have a Russian oligarch in real estate. So if the peace comes to Ukraine and there's still occupied Russian territory, Crimea, whatever, they keep some of that territory. It's been damaged, it needs rebuilt. So if that real estate developer is tapped by the Russian government to rebuild those parts of Ukraine, they have to be totally transparent, work with us or another neutral party, possibly a neutral party within Russia or China or India, wherever, to be totally transparent in the rebuilding so that war funds from Russia aren't being abused like the contractors in Iraq from the United States that were never investigated, weren't transparent, took millions and millions of dollars, billions of dollars to build Iraq. Same thing happens in every war zone. So let's be proactive. Let's get this Russian oligarch to agree to be totally transparent through emails, through everything, with a neutral party, neutral anti-core style system that we develop using that oligarch. And then if they agree to it, it's ultimately up to the Russian government, the Russian military, whether they do choose that oligarch to help rebuild those areas, right? Maybe they want the corruption that they've had in every war that they've put forward. That's on them. If they want to go with an anti-corrupt way of rebuilding a war zone, they can go with this oligarch, at least for part of the construction, who can then work with other real estate oligarchs to develop systems and strategies to be transparent in the construction of domiciles for individuals and businesses and hotels. So that's the one person trying to get the ship back. Okay, after 3 months, agree that you won't try to repossess this ship if we put it in transit with the neutral parties on it. You're not going to try to seize it by force. You'll let it go for 3 months. You'll agree to this agreement. I'm happy to write it up, draw it up, and then you get your ship back, right? On condition also that the original buyer of the ship, the wireless mogul that has a wireless cellular network in Russia, right? Put it out there in the atmosphere, it comes back to you. So we get our transparency with the wireless carriers, right? that oligarch who may have sanctions on them, if you want the sanctions lifted to a degree, if you want to get this ship back in the hands of Russians, you have to agree to be transparent in your wireless company and let either a neutral party that's not in Russia audit your wireless network to break it down and tell us how many Russian, what are they, rubles, or I'm bad with currency sometimes. The Russian currency, how much does it cost? Again, like I just said on the last video, for a simple flip phone that has 400 minutes a year, 35 minutes a month, and how much is it for the newest generation of whatever G they're on in Russia to run a smartphone. And take away the investment in the next generation of cell service, so on and so forth, and what does it just cost for baseline to run these phones. So you have to be transparent in that regard. We can then take that information, the people of Russia can be informed by that information. We're not going to put our information we gather from this Russian oligarch and try to propagandize it into Russia. That'll be up to Russian news agencies, whoever, to approach us with our audit, our independent, neutral audit, and get permission through their government to release that information. But we'll have the information that we can then apply to the United States, to the EU. We'll have a model based off of a network that was set up in Russia, right? So then we can hold that up, and then the U.S. companies can say, no, 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 it actually costs this much, right? Well, let us audit it and prove it, right? So it gives us a starting point. So this ship is a good option. We get two contracts written in writing between myself, the UK military, and these two Russian oligarchs, and we take the ship for 3 months from Thessaloniki, however far around Europe we make it in 3 months. We move on hypothetically to the next ship. Maybe by that time something will pop up on my Reddit on the Wi-Fi on that ship that says, here's what the owner of this ship does in Russia, and here's what another partial owner of that ship in Russia does as well, and then I can propose it on the captain's log on that ship on a similar style computer, or with compressed video. I might even be able to use my laptop. I think it probably has a compressed video option, like this photo booth. I think it does have photo booth, so be the same type of thing, and we'll just keep the same equipment on the ship. It was in for a refit, so the UK probably put a bunch of spy equipment on there to spy on that Russian oligarch, or if they could. So again, it'll be neutral. It'll have UK involvement and Russia involvement, and maybe that's why they seized it, because they didn't want to start beef with the Russian oligarch for stuff they were going to discover when they took it out to sea. Who knows what the politics and the intelligence agencies are, but that's my debrief. We have an option with this ship. We have a 3-year program to bring peace to the world and get this peace treaty signed. Again, I'm going to add to it provisions for drone aircraft and what kind of array they can have to fight future battles. And again, my treaty says let's have a human-to-human warfare for the rest of eternity on this planet. The powers that be are pushing us towards an artificial intelligence, robot killing human, robot killing robot type of warfare and it's dangerous. It could get out of control, and I think we need to prepare for that and have these forums as soon as possible. So hopefully the UK government will act swiftly and boldly to reach out to these Russian oligarchs and get this video to them in full translation and see what they think about this. I'm sure they'll counter with some other situation, but that's how you start the peace process and the conversation process. Thanks for watching, and this time it will be next week. Hillary's on her way home now. Thanks for watching.